Right.
Hello, everyone. Smatho here for the next edition of the DFS Down Under show here on Wednesday night in Hobart Town. Well, we're back with another show and the co-host of mine. Lovely to see you, Hef, in the flesh. How are you this evening, mate?
I'm slowly getting over things, Smatho.
Oh,
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good, though.
pretty good.
We get to talk footy again for another week, and I get to find out all the gossip from the live final. So let's get stuck into that. What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, let's just get straight into it. Massive weekend over in Melbourne. The $200,000 live final presented by Draftstars and Kayo Sports at the Colonial Brewery Company. Well, what do you want to know, mate? Pretty much anything past 9 p.m. on Sunday night is a little bit sketchy. So you probably can't really probe me on that. But anything before that, I have put it in a written form. But you can ask me whatever you want from the weekend, mate. You go ahead.
I did have a read of the diary, Smatho. That's great reading. If you haven't read that already, jump on the website and have a read. Full with videos, and seems like you had a whirlwind 24 hours there, Smatho. Run us through the Colonial Brewing Company, because you know we've both been big fans of it on the show. How was the venue?
Oh, venue. It's a brewery, mate. It's actually it is a large shed, but they've only sectioned off a little small area for the show. But nice little camp, little caravans serving beers. They'll get your beer right, and they'll pour the beer back in your can, which was pretty good. You don't have to worry about your glass from that. Plenty of stubby holders went around, and unfortunately, I didn't actually pick up one in the end. I had like 3 or 4 tucked away and ready to pick it up, but left them behind, and even left some more merchandise, including Draftstars hat and stuff like that. So that got left behind me. So I'm pretty gutted, actually. I didn't pick up my free stuff. But no, great place. The food was everywhere as well. You literally had something in your hand, and all of a sudden someone else would come around with another platter of food. So, yeah, kudos to the Colonial for putting on a good spread. And obviously the beers were pretty good. And I made sure that I had mine in moderation. So, yeah, it was a pretty good day in terms of the Colonial setup.
I saw how much merchandise you took over for the Big Bash early in the year, Smatho. So I'm surprised you didn't make off with another big loot. But there's always next time, isn't there? What about all the new faces? We bumped into some new fellas there, did we?
Oh, I certainly did. Especially on arrival on Saturday night. Yeah, got introduced to Brownlow Fife and his lovely missus. They came over from Perth, and we had a great chat to him, and caught up with Milanos from Adelaide. He was there on the Saturday night, and obviously the ambassador from Draftstars Parks. He was pulling the strings there on the Saturday night, so that was good to catch up with them. And then on the venue on the Sunday, it was great to rub shoulders with the DFS elite, would you call it? And had a couple of blokes who come up and introduce themselves. And there was one particular bloke, which obviously we'll talk a lot about tonight. But Asanke, he came over and spotted me out and shook my hand and said thanks very much for all you do. So it was quite humble for him to do. So that was really nice for him. But I actually enjoyed doing the old roaming schmaffo as well. So kind of picked out a few blokes that I knew from before, and maybe next time if we do it ever again, I might just pick some random people and just start chatting to them next time.
Just ask
give them the real roaming for them.
Yeah, no, all those videos were magnificent to keep an eye on. Obviously, I was at home with had a bit of a mishap with a sick child and couldn't make it, so there was the next best place to be was watching the Twitter feed and watching all the videos, and apart from that video with Briz 17, which was a bit of a mess, 3/4 time, gave me a pretty good idea of what was going on. It looked like there was a couple of loose units behind him, but all the coverage was really good, Smatho. So a thumb up for you on all that work.
No, there was a lot of guys came up saying, "Oh, where's Hef? What happened to Hef?" So there was a lot of concern, and I just said, "No, it's okay." He had some the young boy was not quite well, so there was some people who missed out catching up with you, because obviously you're the brains of this operation. So, and obviously I was a bit of a whirlwind come on was it a Sunday morning, doing my local stroll down the South Bank, and it was a real bit put me in the spin. So, but as I said, the Tassie crew straightened me up. We watched a bit of races, and then obviously we had our a minute silence there at lunch for you, Hef. So we'll sorely miss, mate.
I was still happy to tip him a couple of winners, actually, just to liven them up beforehand. But
yes, no, they got up.
we had to leave Avocado out of those ones, actually, because if you know of people who get paid to go and stand by the roulette wheel, that's his new career, I think. He's the biggest cool art you've ever come across in your life. Anyway, how about we look at Asanke's winning team?
Yes. So obviously the game. Asanke, Asanke, that's how you say it. Yep. Obviously, he was up the top of the leaderboard or on that top 5 from the majority of the game. He seemed to have that, good core of players. If we bring up his team up here, Avocado, let's go through his team here. And lo and behold, Willie Rioli, most guys who I spoke to on Sunday showing my tilt, I did have Willie Rioli on my side. I pulled him out and he tons it up, which is fantastic from him. What separated the teams though was the Rory Sloane getting a busted face early in the second half, so that killed a few teams. So, but for Asanke, look at this team here, pretty good team, takes home the $50,000 first prize.
It's a funny slate because you look at Shepherd and you look at Malaire and you think, oh, geez, they both sucked really at their 11,000 price tag, and he was still able to take it down. So you didn't have to get it completely right by any means with just the 105 entrants. One thing I did notice is he stayed away from Petrocelli in this lineup, who was 60% owned, and he went okay. I think he ended up getting 47 or 48 at his 6,000, which wasn't a disaster, but by staying away from the high-owned guy there, Asanke, he got a bit of a jump on the majority of the field. And Mark Hutchings there, I don't really know if he had a job all day, Smatho. That was the massive talk leading in, obviously, is who's Hutchings going to go to. I'm not sure he went to anyone.
No, he didn't. Maybe he was on Malaria because obviously he had nothing at quarter time, and Pearl Asanke was tilting pretty hard about that particular selection, so maybe possibly him. But no, I didn't go to the Crouch brothers or Sloane, so they proceeded to score a lot of points. So I know you got the belt, and you probably have had a fair bit of thumbs up from me this year, but this is the roll gold. 2 thumbs up for you, mate. Emoji up. Get on the screen, mate. Well done. $50,000, a championship belt, the respect of the Australian DFS community, and another 2 one of these for you, mate. Congratulations. And, your face is going to be everywhere there, mate, with that belt on the Draftstars page. So, good on you, Asanke. Sneaky shout-outs to, obviously, 2nd and 3rd place. I Am Legend. He came from nowhere in the end. As he said in his video, he didn't really care about the last quarter until he looked up and said, oh, shit, there's my team. And then Gatsid. Oh, what a story this is, mate. Did you catch up with Gatsid's story, mate?
I do remember. We spoke about his avatar a while back, didn't we? The bottom to JK. Run us through the bet that was placed.
Oh, he tweeted up early in the week saying, hey, head-to-head, you, me, and JK, if I win, we swap avatars. Get me back on top. And put Arnie Schwarzenegger down the bottom for JK. So, he's going, haha, let's do it. And lo and behold, that was one of the most funny things on the night, seeing the 2 blokes actually get together, and they shook hands and they said fair play, and then caught up with him for a chat, and he was pretty excited that he got the 3rd place.
So they don't know each other? Well, they didn't know each other?
Nope.
Well, there you go.
Introduce each other. Yep, it was quite funny. So, congratulations to all winners. Obviously, well done to all the qualifiers. And again, Draftstars, Kayo Sports put on a magnificent event. I'm disappointed that you did miss out on the day, but obviously, I think we did an okay job trying to cover it for all the punters at home. Mate.
It was magnificent. It just gets. They've only had 2, and they just look bigger and better already. So the sky's the limit in future for these live events, I think. You had a chat with Scott from Draftstars. He wasn't giving much away. Did he give you a little nod off camera, Smatho?
No, he was still a bit nervous when I was trying to ask him. He played a very, very straight bet. So, we might just have to watch this space into the future. Look, obviously, AFL is going to be wrapping up by the end of September, so Then the American sports are back. So obviously the rumour mills will go on about future plans at Draftstars. Now, let's move on with the show. Obviously, I want to give some sneaky shout-outs before we get into the 40 because we've been missing out on the content the last couple of weeks. And, I want to acknowledge the fact that, our NRL contact from Corey, he's put out another great article this evening on the Daily Fantasy Rankings website for Thursday night NRL. So that's up on the site now. Also, we've got my golf preview for the BMW Championship, which is also on late Thursday night. It's around midnight tee off, so you've got plenty of time on Thursday night to do your AFL teams and then sneak in a couple of golf teams. It's the last kind of proper DFS slate for this season, Hef. So 70 golfers, no cut. You just pick 6 blokes who might think to win, and you never know. Also, Ashes hasn't actually started yet, mate. So if you ever need a hand of your teams, possibly you might go into day 2 tomorrow without a ball being bowled. Just get a sneaky back on the Daily Fantasy Ranks. I click on those articles, and these are all free previews and tips as well. So, thanks to one of our contributors here, actually the editor here of Daily Fantasy Rankings. He's helped me out in the last couple of days because it's been an absolute whirlwind of writing. And thank you for those who like to pick up my grammatical errors. That's just what you're going to get for the next few or so weeks. So, little sneaky shout out to you blokes. All right. So, one more shout out. Stewie, he's doing an absolute massive job with the races here on Saturday at the moment, putting in some great form and tips at the moment. And obviously now this is starting to get a bit of sun now, a bit more sunshine, a bit more better field test. So obviously you're going to be all over this for us little crew here at DFR. But can't wait for the tips to come from your particular mouth.
I wouldn't worry about my tips too much. Stu is a proper form man, pro putter. Like he's a great get for the DFR side, and he's tipped up a storm lately. So Spring Carnival's when he does his best work. He's a bit like Sam Newman after midnight. That's when he really comes alive. So be sure to check his articles every week because he knows what he's talking about.
Now, also, EPL game week 1. This is probably the last time I might have to wear my Chelsea shirt this year because I was having a lovely time at the Crown Bar on Sunday night, and I've looked over, we're playing Man United, and half an hour later, I've turned around, we're down 4-0. So, Draftstars have been putting up some great EPL contests for game week 1, and obviously number 2 is coming up this week, and there was some good turnout in terms of the DFS contest. So, bit of clear air for the EPL, so it's a great sport to get into if you're not sure, and we also got our free articles for that particular contest as well every week. So
there's a lot going on.
Before you know it, it'll be all gone. So make sure you get amongst it. Now, let's move on to footy, mate. I don't want you sitting there getting sick all again. So Friday night footy, we've got the Demons are playing the Swannies in Melbourne. What a matchup this one is. Melbourne are just slight favourites at the moment at 2.5 lines. So that might escalate depending on teams on Thursday night. It's 151.5 total at the moment, which is reasonable. Better than last week. That snow game, geez, what wasn't that a turn up?
Yeah.
Now, in team news, Stephen May's done his hammy, and he's had one of those classic first seasons with the Demons. He's just been crook and injured all year. So Matty Hall's been doing pretty well in the VFL, so he should replace him. I think the hammy's still not right for Buddy, so they're going to keep him on the cooler in terms of possibly next week. McVeigh as well, they probably keep him on the pine. So read today on the AFL website, doing a bit of research, that the old Michael Knoll could possibly get a game. I've called him out a few weeks ago to get a game, but obviously they've kept him on in the NEFL, got 25 touches and a lot of clearances and ran a bucket load of hit out. So he might be required this week going up against Maxi Gone. For the sites, there's $20,000 contest on Moneyball and a $60,000 contest on Draftstars. I've checked the DFR cheat sheets, the data tools on the website, always free to use on the site, and I can see that the ruck's the main sticking point for the Swans this week. Look, Gawn had his colours lowered last week against Grundy, but apart from that, Melbourne give up all the points across the rest of the park in terms of fantasy points to the Swannies. Hefs, your initial thoughts for this particular matchup?
I'm actually surprised Melbourne are favourites. I didn't think too much about it, but I just seem to remember Sydney always play well at the MCG in games you might not necessarily expect it. So even though they've got a fair bit of youth in the team now, Sydney, I'd be leaning to Sydney. This ruck matchup, this is unbelievable. If McLean, surely Horse Longmire's not going to leave McLean to go against Gawn after what he's been through lately. You need a proper ruckman going against Gawn because he just kills these makeshift ruckmen. 10K on Moneyball, that's just lock him in and move on. 17.8 on Draftstars is very expensive. So keep an eye on Noel if he comes in because at least he's got a bit more size to go with him. But Sam Reid is also playable as a ruck on Draftstars, and given Melbourne's struggles with key forwards this year, he might be a decent option.
Okay, fair enough. All right, yeah, Gawn on Moneyball, absolute lock. Bit hard to get to him on Draftstars. 17.8 is one of the highest salaries we've seen all year, but. We'll look at selection for the Swans. If the grassy knoll does play, he will garner ownership, especially on Draftstars. But he got killed by Laddams last week, or Ladhams.
Oh, Laddams, he's the next Gary Dempsey if you want to listen to the Port supporters.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so all right, we'll just lock and go on and move on. All right, let's move the defence then. So Angus Brayshaw finally turned up after so long. Is this a one-off, or is it going to be a bit more consistent now? He's 7.2 on Moneyball as a back, all right, not as a midfielder, but he's a midfielder on Draftstars. I'm actually struggling to find a bit of value on the sites, both sites, in terms of cheap backs. Is there anything there, or do I need to pay up?
Well, I think we're going to have to pay up. I'm not convinced that Brayshaw's back by any stretch. I noticed he played without the helmet last week.
Yeah, he forgot it. He forgot it. That's what happened.
That's where his head's at, isn't it? Old Fizzy Brayshaw. But 7,200 on Moneyball is cheap just because of this ceiling. He might be back, he might not be. Who knows? He at least attended a lot of centre bounces last week. Feels like we had this discussion last week when we were talking about Sicily, Smatho. We sort of spat the dummy with him, but we said, well, if you're going to play multiple teams, you've got to have a little bit of exposure to him, and we saw that ceiling, 112 or whatever he had Sicily. So I think Brayshaw's in a similar bracket. Just the fact that he can go big, you've always got to keep him in mind in tournaments at least.
What about for the Sydney side? Obviously, if you're going to pay up, is there a bit of Lloyd, Rampy, etc.?
Yeah, Lloyd's definitely an easy play. I do like the idea of him running around at the MCG with plenty of space and getting all that chippy out the back. Rampy does seem to play very well at the MCG as well. He's pretty expensive for what he is, Rampy. Try to look elsewhere. I think Ryan Clark's a shocking footballer. For 5,900, he does have upside to get around 90, especially if they just sort of let him run loose. He does a few jobs here and there, Clark, but who really do you want to... He's not the type that's going to tag a Clayton Oliver. Who else do you really want to run with at Melbourne? I'm not sure there's really anyone else you'd pay too much attention to. So if he's in the side, Clark, I think he's got enough upside to be playable at that sort of price.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's move on to the mids then. And Dunkley, 3,900 on Moneyball. Looks like our chalk play here for the mids. But on Draftstars, there's a bit of a dilemma though. We've got Wagner and Dunkley are at the same price, around 7.6. Also, any thoughts about those kind of value guys straight up?
Yeah, they're okay.
They're okay.
I'm not in love with any of them, but they're definitely playable.
All right. What about Parker from last week? I had a bit of Parker in my slate sides last Saturday, and obviously he shut the bed.
He cost you?
Yeah, he cost me.
You're trying to avoid him now because of that?
Bias.
Yeah, that's why I love the bounce back. You know that, Smatho.
I love the bounce back, yeah.
I'll be looking at Parker for that reason. One bloke we've got to talk about is Ollie Florent.
Yeah.
He's a little whippet, but 5,800, 800 still on Moneyball. Draftstars have bumped him up a bit more. He's about 11.5 there, but he got a massive bump in centre bounce attendances last week. Responded with a big ton. Had 91 the week before. those sort of scores are wonderful at that sort of salary. Bit scared we're chasing points here. It's got a bit of Shea Bolton about it, but end of the year, Horse might be seeing what he's got with some of these young fellas. He's going to be popular. He's probably for a good reason because there's not too many players on this slate who've got this type of upside.
What about any other Swans players? If we're going to see Ollie in the guts, were they going to chuck a few more in there?
Well, yeah. If Horse wants to give the young fellas a go, Rowbottom was pretty hyped about 3 or 4 weeks ago, playing low time and ground and getting a lot of the ball. And we know he's got massive NEFL numbers. The gloss has worn off him a bit, but maybe that's the time to jump back on. I think he's a reasonable price. You might get him a decent ownership. Nice matchup. He's a bit of a left fielder I'd be thinking about.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on to the forwards. And as we know, the Swans' Ruck and McLean is actually a forward here on Moneyball. So he's 4,200. So he finally gets a little bump up in salary, but still pretty low. And you'll probably be chalk again. Who else are you eyeing off in Moneyball? You may possibly a bit of Blakey action.
The lizard. You love the lizard.
The lizard.
We love the lizard. If they do run with McLean, I'm tempted to fade McLean because I think there's enough cheap options here that we can do it. Lizard's one. How about Ben Ronke's first ever game at the MCG? You remember that one?
Yeah, he had like 6-7 goals in his first game.
7 goals.
Remember Bruce just absolutely losing his mind over him.
Yeah, he totally lost it, Bruce, didn't he? Some say he's never got it back, but
no, he hasn't got it back.
I like Bruce. I'll stick up for Bruce. But yeah, his last few weeks have been quite good, Ronke. I remember playing him when he first came back into the team and he let me down big time. But he's especially cheap on Draftstars. I think he's in the 6,000s. And like for a guy who can get 80 quite comfortably, that game he kicked 70, got well over 100. That's massive upside. So I'm pretty keen to play Ronke. Menzel's another one who's in good touch. Pretty cheap. So between Menzel, Ronke, Blakey, I think there's heaps of opportunity to pivot off McLean. And guys who are a bit more expensive. Heaney's obviously in good form, and Tommy Papley's got great upside at his price too. So he's a great tournament play, Papley.
No, but he can sink you as well. He's had a couple of 40s to go over some tons. So, but as I said, if you like the Swannies at the G against a Melbourne side that's pretty much had enough, load them up. All right, time for sneaky time, Friday night sneaky time. And unfortunately, our sneaky last week didn't actually participate, so that got voided. Poor old Jacob pulled out from Hammy, and I think I'm glad we didn't get on the hopper train in the end. Poor old Warple train just killed everyone.
Was that a snow-related hamstring for Hopper?
Oh, even Jack Gunston was a snow-related hamstring. He just said, "No, enough of this. I'm not coming out here tonight." Yeah. All right, so sneaky time. So again, I've chucked on the old Bet Easy site to do the old head-to-head, and there's an Angus Brayshaw one for you, buddy, and I haven't highlighted it yet. All right, I've got my thoughts ready to go. 85.5 is the line. Angus Brayshaw.
Just looking for a coin.
Well,
I'll go over.
Overs. Yeah, man.
Over?
Yeah,
that like we agree.
Yeah, I just think you'll soon find out after the first quarter if we're on or not.
Yeah, that's a good call. Can we bet him play?
Oh, I wish we could. All right. So that's my sneaky for this week. So that's Angus Brayshaw. We're both going over at 85.5. Sorry. All right, let's move on to Saturday slate. And this is the second last one of the season here. We've only got 2 to go here. So taking out one of these slates at the end of the year, obviously put a little feather in your cap for the year. So we've got Carlton with his new coach. Tiggy's in. People power got him in. They're playing the Saints. So obviously that's... Can we have a narrative there about a new coach? I don't know. Brisbane and Geelong, Adelaide and Collingwood, which I'm pretty keen on. North versus Port, and Freo are playing Essendon. What a game that was last week from the Bombers. All right, Moneyball got $30,000 contest up for the slate, $50,000 on Draftstars, and looking at the free resources on the Daily Fantasy Rankings website, and I've just gone, wow, look at this, the Pies. Last 5 games, they're just leaking points everywhere, apart from the rucks. Obviously, Grundy's doing a great job in the ruck, but everywhere, backs, mids, forwards. Obviously, Crows did pretty well last week against the Eagles. Eagles have been pretty stingy all year, so I'm thinking Crows here in terms of the resources, and they probably won't have Rory Sloan either after copping a whack in the face. So, but if you want to look at other options, Freo, Duleek too. Obviously, they've kind of put the Q on the rack, but we can't really trust the Bombers. So, and then you got the Brisbane Rucks. I looked at the Rucks again, and they're stingy as, and I thought, well, the Cats Rucks are pretty leaky. So they're my main little resources that I found out on the side, and that's all free to find out for us. So initial slate thoughts on this particular Saturday slate.
Yeah, I can't deny that the points against the Pies lately, which is unreal. How they've gone full circle from, half circle from the start of the year when they were just as stingy as anyone in the league, and now it's just turn up and get your feel against the Pies. But there's something about Pies in road games that just makes me wonder if we can throw these stats out the window, which I know you hate to do, Smatho. You're a massive fan of the stats. I'm a big fan of the stats too, but sometimes we need.
I like my numbers. The words I struggle with, but sometimes the numbers I can handle.
Did see. No, anyway, we'll move on. Let's not forget. Let's have a look at the Pies in road games this year.
Yeah.
One I can't forget is when they beat the Eagles, because that's just screwed the Eagles' top 2 chances, that loss. And now they got to beat Richmond. So I'm a bit dirty on that. But no one gave the Pies a chance in that game. They went to the Gabba early in the year and gave them an absolute hiding, which at the time everyone thought, oh, well, it's just Brisbane. They're a year away probably. And ever since, now they're going to play, they're going to make the top 4, Brisbane. So all of a sudden that win looks a bit stronger than what we first might have thought. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a bit of a common theme for years. I know they've had a few low-scoring games in Adelaide where they've gone over there and got the job done. So I think your points about the Crouch brothers are pretty right against the Pies, but I reckon Pies are a real sneaky chance this week.
All right. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, they actually, I recall a lot of Collingwood games. I know they don't play much away, but every time they seem to go away, they have this huge huddle and they all sing and dance when they win away and they think this is the best thing ever. And I was like, well, dude, you only go out 3 times a year. So, and I recall at Adelaide happens a lot. So, yeah.
I thought you were describing the daily fantasy rankings meet up on Saturday night there for a minute, but
no,
those things
are sketchy.
Has North Melbourne had enough? That's
well.
Because we're talking about away teams, I think Port actually tend to play really well at the Dome, and we saw them kill Essendon there a couple of weeks ago, which not the greatest form line after the weekend, but they got some different players in the midfield. Port, they've been throwing the magnets around. They just got a little bit of a different look about them. So I'm on notice that they might they got more to play for, and they might just run over the top of North.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. I like it. All right. Well, let's rip through these positions and let's go to the Rucks. And geez, Sandilands obviously announced his retirement yesterday, and and he gets a cushy matchup versus the Bombers, 6.5 on Moneyball. If you like those little narratives, you renounce your retirement and just go out with a bang. You never know. But there's also a revenge game narrative for Zach Clark versus his old side. So he might say, look, up you, Sandy, in training and everything. So he's too much on Moneyball. I think he's around 5.5K. But on Draftstars, he's actually 7,700. And he's actually projected to be the best value play on Draftstars for the Rucks.
He's big. He's a big friend of the show, isn't he, Zach Clark? We talk about him every week. I've got a stat for you on Sandilands.
Yeah.
When he retires, he's the last player in the league who has played in a losing final against Essendon.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
So he's the last player. Now he's pulled the pin. So
wow.
I know
you're sharp on the material. Obviously, you've had a nice quiet weekend away from Melbourne, so obviously you've been preparing.
My Monday was probably a bit more productive than most others. I'll admit that.
Okay.
You mentioned the Cats Rucks before. I'd love just for Steph to be one out against Geelong, but even with Big O sort of chopping out time in the ruck, I'm sort of looking at both of them as ruck options here because I don't really love a lot of the options. So, yeah, those Brisbane guys, I reckon they're definitely playable as well.
Yep. Oh, no, I'm on the Sandy train. I'm the narrative Sandy train this weekend. Let's move to defence. And, this Dan Houston, you talked about him last week, Dan? Geez, he goes all right. I mean, he's had three tons in a row. He was, defense. Now he's in the mids. Price is still pretty good as well. And, I'm also looking back on the Crows again. A bit of stacks at the backs, maybe some bounce backs from Malera and Laird and Brodie Smith and things like that around the Collingwood defence. I reckon I might be on the money there.
Yeah, I think you might be.
Thanks.
You almost have to lock in Dan Houston. I think he went down in price.
Oh,
he's just getting all this time in the midfield. He gets all sorts of stats. He's got marks, tackles, very good user of the ball. They're quite happy to look for him while he's got this role. And at that price, he's going to be one of the top owned guys on the slate, and for good reason. That sort of takes away our option of stacking backs a bit, though. So you can obviously play another Port guy with him, but I agree with you on the Crows backs, but I'm also not going to snooze on the Pies backs, because we do know the Crows tend to give up a lot of points to backs as well. And we do know the Pies are very good at taking the air out of the ball if they want to do that and just sort of chip it back and forward in that back line. We can't forget that game when they did against Richmond. If they try and take the crowd out of the game, they might try and hold the ball for a good amount of time in the back line. So I'm looking at Pies backs there. Brodie Smith and Malera, I guess, as well. They're both pretty average against the Eagles, so there's a bounce back spot for them. Do we have to be worried about Chris Mayne, or do we reckon that ship sailed this sort of? I reckon it's sailed.
That's gone.
Worth raising.
Yeah. What about these Saints? Obviously, you're pretty big on this Saints game earlier.
Well, you like talking about taking on the Saints when it comes to backs.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember you getting very giddy over Shannon Hearn earlier in the year, and it paid off.
Yeah.
Poor old Daisy. Sounds like it's it for him today. No contract next year for your Blue Boys. Do you reckon that means Daisy's just the pressure's off, he's just going to run around and chase the ball, and him and Cade just chip around the back line against the Saints? There's a little angle.
You probably will. You just probably have 7 clangers, kick them all out in the full and handball them to himself and rack them up.
They're all worth the same.
Yeah, worth the same. All right, there's something to look at.
There's a different angle to look at.
All right, let's move on to the mids. Then, we had a standout performance from Quinton Narkle. He's actually a midfielder on Moneyball at 3,900. But as he said, there's only a midfielder only. He's actually a forward on Draftstars. I'm pretty cool on the Crouch brothers. If I can get Narkle, I can probably get up to both Crouches. And then I check out the cheat sheets on the DFR site and I click on the old value of DS and look, there's Saints everywhere. What do you reckon of the old mids for this week?
Yeah, I do like what you've come up there. Sparkle Narkle 3,900. He was really good last week. And it does open up plenty of cash to play a couple of big mids. Can't go wrong with the Crouches. On the flip side, you can probably look at the Pies midfielders as well, because we know that the Crows aren't going to tag. Speaking of the Pies midfield, I've got a bit of mail here.
Oh, hang on! Did you touch the ear? I didn't hear any mail. You got a secret mail here.
I'm touching the ear because it's not coming from the avocado, so we've got a chance of it being quite accurate. I'm hearing Braden Sear, who's going to miss his 4th match this weekend with a calf setback.
Right.
He played a game of basketball on Monday night.
Right.
Despite missing with a calf at the moment, in the Diamond Valley Basketball Association Division 3 match in Greensboro. And I'm told that he played about 20 minutes and he was put on the team sheet as fill in. And the team conceal his name. This is true. And so you've got to be a real knucklehead to be at the Pies this year. That's one of the best stories I've ever heard. Phil in. So he's not going to be in the team, but some of his mates, Rupert Wills might be the guy to capitalise on that. Continued absence. Let's have a look at what else we got here. Daniel Hannabury's the obvious one. He's still priced pretty cheap, and he was really good against Can't remember who the Saints played on the weekend, but that was on the Sunday, wasn't it?
That's right.
But yeah, he did a really good job, Hanbury, and the price he is. It was against Freo, that's right. Yeah, he's an amazing price, Hanbury. So him and Narkle on Moneyball, like there's two midfielders there.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably have a look at Freo just because if Essendon are gone, a Freo stack, especially through the midfield with the likes of Fife and Connor Blakely's picking up too. You can run him through the midfield on both sides. I think they're definitely worth looking at too.
Now, we touched on about Narkle being a forward at Draftstars, but I did actually play one of our Freo young guns in Sutowski. I managed to snab in at 4% last week on Draftstars, and he actually went pretty well, and I was pretty happy with that until everything else fell apart. So he's looking like he's playing more of a mid-roll there. So obviously you touched about how we a bit of an Essendon carcass over Perth. Well, he's pretty cheap. He's 5K on Moneyball, and I think he's still around the 7-8K mark on Draftstars. So he's one of my forward values. Is there anyone else you like here to finish your team off?
Yeah, they got a lot of cheaper guys in that forward line there, Freo, who can bob up. Like Matera could bob up if there's a carcass. You go for one of those forwards, like whether McCarthy's going to get a look in or not. So they're definitely in play. I prefer to look at the Port Adelaide guys. Team seem to have a lot of forward options here against North, and it sort of goes with my theory on the game as well. So you love hollering for a Marshall from the glove box, Smatho.
Yes.
We've got a new Marshall on the scene.
Oh, was it?
Toddy Marshall.
Oh, Todd. How is he going?
He's put a couple of 70s together. He is a really promising forward, Marshall. I haven't really thought of him as a fantasy option just yet, but he's very mobile. He's probably more in that Jack Watts mould than a true young key forward. 4,500 on Moneyball is a great price for a kid coming off a couple of 70s. And speaking of good Port Adelaide kids, what about Connor Rosie? Isn't he a freak?
Yeah, no, he's outside Walsh and probably Sydney Stack. He's top 3 rising star of the year. I mean, he's got a couple of good mates with him, but yeah, no, he's a jet.
He's getting a bit more time up the ground. They played him as that forward pocket role for much of the year, but I think he's too good to stay in that forward pocket role. And I've noticed him getting a bit of midfield time over the last couple of weeks. 3 goals and 20 touches last week. 95 and 100 to 1. He's still priced really well. Dry conditions at the Dome, that'll suit him down the ground. So I like him. Laddams, we can play him in the forward line. He's still super cheap at 4,400.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable last week. But to be fair, it was against Sydney. So he's up against an actual ruckman this week. So I still think Moneyball is way too cheap. And then of the more expensive guys, I think it's a great spot for Billings against Carlton. He's 9,300 on Moneyball, but if you want to pay up in your forward line, I think he's the best of the expensive options.
All right. I reckon I might put a few more teams in normally than my one team this week. I might have a bit of time this Saturday morning, so I'm looking forward to this one. Get off. But bullshit, I will. So, it's avocado. All right, mate. Put up my Saturday sneaky. Now, last week I thought I was in with Jared Lyons for the medal.
Oh, did he win?
No, Charlie with his 6 goals got it up. He got the medal. I thought $8 you beauty, but well deserved the Charlie. He was the main difference. 100-point win. So I love the Crows, as I said, this week. I'm all over the 35+ disposal market here on Sportsbet. Now, I can easily get them out crouch at 240, but I saw Brad at 350. There's no slow in the market here, as you can see. I've highlighted him. I can't really see anyone else. Maybe Bryce at 750 is a bit of a sneaky one as well, just to say, hey, guys, I can still play football and still rack it up against the Pies. So, 1 unit on 350 and half a unit on Bryce and get both up. That's a good sneaky for me. What do you reckon?
I like that. I'm not so sure on Bryce. He can still rack it up. I wouldn't say he's playing good football, but I'd especially like the way Brad Crouch really broke a few hearts in the live final, I'm sure, the way he finished off that second half. I think he had 80-something as soon as Sloane went down. He broke one big heart in particular, the Big Bristle man.
Oh, bristle.
350 for 35 touches. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Smatho.
All right, excellent. Hopefully 2 from 2. About time we get one. Sunday. All right, let's rip through Sunday. 20K on Moneyball, 40,000 on Draftstars. 3 games up. Richmond and West Coast. Oh, the Avocado versus Hef matchup. We get good luck with that one. Giants and the Bulldogs and the Hawks and the Gold Coast for a bit of Sunday fun. Hef, I went on the DFR website as always, and I clicked the old value on Sunday. Bring it up, Avocado. Have a look at this. Look at this cheat sheet and look how much a brown and a gold there is for value on Draftstars on Sunday. Look at that.
That's unbelievable. And the Gold Coast up there as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of cheapy Gold Coast just to run it back. But yeah, there's some cheap salaries there. Who also, again, a small bump, you would say, when you play a Gold Coast. But geez, is there a way we can get away from this, or you just got to keep it simple?
Well, we've spoken about keeping it simple against Gold Coast in the past. Richmond and West Coast is not a game that screams attack me, is it? And Giants and Bulldogs, well, the Bulldogs are surprisingly one of the stingiest teams in the comp at the moment, especially their midfield. Their midfield just does not let anything get by them. And we know GWS all season have been really stingy, and surely they can't be as bad as they were last week. In the snow, they were just, that was one of the, I know Essendon said hold my beer and even North Melbourne that night, but
yeah.
Friday night GWS was atrocious. They've got to bounce back from that. But those 2 games, they're on the low side of points, so you got to look long and hard at playing 5 Hawks, especially on Draftstars, and you can play even more on Moneyball. Like look at Jager O'Meara, like they'll probably be Tony Cochran. We know how much he likes Jager O'Meara. He'll probably be sending a hitman out or something for him. But 13K, Ricky Henderson 12K. Like these guys have got huge ceilings against Gold Coast.
Even the Chad's at 11 there. Oh, we're all over the Chad. Someone to get the memo last week. I saw in our WhatsApp message group, but got to watch the show a bit more often, don't we, Hef?
Well, Chaddy's just hitting his trap. Like Sicily, I have a little theory on Sicily though that GWS didn't have the tall timber that required Sicily to play such a defensive role. Gold Coast do have a few big fellas up there, so just a little bit wary on Sicily.
Okay, very good. All right, we might wrap up the show there. Obviously, it's been a big week here in the DFS community here in Australia, and obviously we've got a couple of big more weeks of AFL and into the finals, so we might have to scratch around in a couple of weeks' time when the buy round comes through, Hef. We might have to put our heads together and come up with some quality content.
Ooh. It would be a nice time to start, wouldn't it?
All right, well,
your single game slates as well. We've really got to start focusing on with these finals up, Smatho, so that's a good time to sharpen that side up.
Yeah, we'll get back onto the single slate sharp up. So, look, we'll wrap up the show tonight, and we can't go without leaving saying congratulations to Asanko, who took out the massive 50K out on the Draftstars 200K live final, presented by Kayo Sports and the Colonial Brewing Company. Shout out to those guys. As I said, it was a great event. As I said, diaries on the site. Have a read of it. Check out the vids from the day. Even go back and watch the show and watch our man Angie perform quite admirably. Mate, thanks for joining the show tonight. Great to see you back, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, mate. See you then.
See you, mate.